Stay tuned for Radio Free Dixie, a program giving voice to Southerners in the Southland. Radio Free Dixie is on the air. This program does not represent the views of this station, our sponsors, or any particular organization. It is strictly the personal opinions of those speaking on the air. Stay tuned for Radio Free Dixie with Don Gordon and Larry Sally discussing important Southern issues. I want to welcome everybody into the Radio Free Dixie Show. I'm Don Gordon, and my co-host Larry Sally is on other missions today. I want to bring us forward and talk about a little bit about the situation that we have in the South today. When I was the speaker at the memorial service down in Augusta, there were a small number of black men and black women in the audience out there. When I went down to Hilda, South Carolina, there was one black guest. At the memorial service in Columbia up at the Capitol, the keynote speaker was a black gentleman. At last month's, or actually this month's Wade Hampton camp meeting, the speaker was Ed Westbury, the division chaplain, talking about black Confederate soldiers. And I'll tell you that, as much as I know, he taught me an awful lot I didn't know. And one thing he taught me was that the very first black general in the United States was actually Samuel Lee, who had been a Confederate soldier, and he was actually appointed by Wade Hampton to be a general, brigadier general, in the militia after the war, after Hampton took over in 1876. And that was your first black general. So, you might think he would come out of the North or the Yankee Army, but no, he came out of South Carolina, appointed by Wade Hampton. And right after that, Wade Hampton pardoned Robert Smalls, who had been charged and imprisoned with a felony, and he pardoned him, and then he appointed him as a brigadier general in the militia. And Robert Smalls, until the end of his life, really enjoyed wearing his uniform and served as a general. And Wade Hampton did a lot of healing between the races that a lot of people don't realize. And today, we're in need of healing, and we're on the path of healing. But we have one major obstacle in South Carolina to racial healing, and it's the NAACP. I'm going to make a case for you that the NAACP really is not a civil rights organization anymore. It's a civil wrongs organization. About 3 months ago, they were down at the State House for King Day at the Dome, and they really had a lot of very bad rhetoric about anything Southern, Confederate, or whatever. And they, attacked the Confederate flag. And right after that, in York, South Carolina, the NAACP tried to get the town council to force a local businessman to remove a Confederate flag that was flying on his own business. I mean, that is such an egregious thing that it's private property, it's his own business. And, of course, he didn't take it down. He's a member of the SCV. I met him yesterday up at a barbecue near Kings Mountain. And he told me that they were really quite rude to him when they tried to talk to him and blah, blah, blah. Then about 3 weeks ago, the NAACP up in Pendleton, South Carolina, in Anderson County, tried to, with one person's complaint, the NAACP representative, tried to get the schools to ban children from being able to wear any Confederate flag or anything like that, or a Dixie Outfitters T-shirt. And fortunately, the superintendent, who is black, stepped forward and said it has never been a problem. He did not think it was appropriate. And so, they did not enact that ban. And what nobody else will tell you is that just this week, the Wade Hampton Equestrian Monument on the State House grounds was vandalized in a very crude and vulgar manner. Somebody took a key or a sharp implement and wrote the word F-U out there. And, of course, they spelled it out, and they scratched up two of the little battle placards that are on the bottom of the statue. It's going to probably cost $500 or $600 to repair it. And, I called up the state paper because I wanted to make an issue that the NAACP has been on a campaign of hate that's not going to do any good for relations between the races. And they sent a reporter out there, and they called me back, and they called it a blemish. Now, a blemish is a manufacturing mistake. A blemish is not vandalism or graffiti on a statue. And if that same wording and same stuff had been on a different monument, any different monument, it would have been a major thing. And, of course, if it was on the African-American monument, they would have made national news out of it and called it a hate crime. And, you just really don't get the full scope of things that are going on through the snake paper. And there's one other thing that I want to mention. It occurred in Jacksonville, South Carolina. This is on a positive note. A black city councilwoman, her name is Glorious Johnson, which I think is a glorious name. It's the first time I've heard it used as a name. She actually attended the Sons of Confederate Veterans Memorial Day service down in the graveyard there in Jacksonville. And she's a former music teacher, and she actually led the group that was assembled there in singing the song Dixie. And I'm quoting from her now. She says, "Sing it loud and sing it proud." And in an interview after the service, she was quoted as saying that this is not a flag of hate. It's talking about the Confederate flag. She said it's a flag of heritage and history. She said these people assembled out here are not about hate. They're about heritage and history. And she said she learned a lot about the Civil War through talking to members of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. And, of course, that's a role model. She said it was her job to be a representative of all the people. And some of our black senators that are around here would do well to take her, her as an example and reach out, and let's see if we can't come together and, live closer together in the future. I will say that on an individual basis, I think the race relations are improving, but with the NAACP constantly waging a campaign of hate, it's not going to do any good. We're not going to get any weaker. We're not going to change our view. We don't want to, come back in the way that they're coming back, but somebody needs to let them know that that's ineffective. And I think that our governor would be a good person to start. If they're going to have a boycott of the state, because of the flag at the Capitol, the governor really shouldn't meet with them at all. They ought to lose their place at the table until they no longer have that boycott. And as long as they do have their place at the table, so to speak, there's very little incentive for them to remove that boycott. And I think that Governor Sanford does a disservice by not calling their hand and, telling them that it would be better if everybody reached out. So far, all the reaching out that I could see has been among individuals, and if the NAACP would take their example, we'd live in a better place. Our call-in number is 742-1230. That's 742-1230. And I do want to talk to all the men that may be riding down the road and listening to this show. If you were born in the South and your parents were born in the South, even if you don't realize that you really had a Confederate ancestor, you should attend a meeting of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. We actually have 69 camps in South Carolina. They meet monthly. That's more camps meeting monthly than any other civic group in the state. Yes, we have a caller here. All right, caller, what's your name? And you're on the air.
Hey, Don, this is Commander Rayburn from over in Chester, South Carolina.
Donnie Rayburn, I was up at your memorial service yesterday, and it was really very nice, and I want to commend you for winning the award for recruiting. What have you got on your mind, Donnie?
I just wanted to call and promote give a sound out to our memorial service that we're going to have over at Armenia Methodist Church next Sunday at 9:30 for the church service. Memorial service will follow the church service at 10:30 at Armenia United Methodist Church.
Well, Donnie, I want you to know that your service up there was extremely moving. Folks, what they had done is they had gone into the woods. This was like right on the North Carolina line. And they had actually cleaned up a cemetery that had trees and everything coming up, and they had members of the families of Confederate soldiers that were buried in there present. They had a real Confederate son, and we were in the middle of the woods, in the middle of almost nowhere, and it was a very moving service, Donnie.
Yeah, it was. It really was. The lady, the 91-year-old granddaughter, she said personally, she really appreciates the Sons of Confederate Veterans for all their appreciation for what they had done to honor her great-grandfather.
Well, that was sacred ground, and I was very proud of the hard work that I know that you did for that, and it just really lets people know that the Sons of Confederate Veterans do a lot of good work for the community, and we're doing our best to be good citizens. Donnie, we've got about 20 seconds left. You want to give a shout-out one more quick time to your event?
Yeah, we're having a memorial service at Armenia Methodist Church next Sunday morning. At 9:30 is the church service, and the memorial service is followed after the church service at 10:30.
Thank you very much, Donnie. We'll be back in a minute. This is Radio Free Dixie.